The elaborate and medieval process of choosing a new pope has begun. This afternoon, 115 men, cardinal electors, entered the Sistine Chapel for the conclave. It's a meeting which, like the church whose future it determines, is steeped in secrecy, ritual and prayer. A plume of white smoke from a small chimney on the chapel's roof behind me will signal that a new pontiff has been elected. But so far, black. But that will only happen when 2/3 of the cardinals agree, and with no clear favourite, that could be some days away. Our Foreign Affairs Correspondent Jonathan Rugman reports now on the day's events.
At 5:34 this afternoon, the doors to the Sistine Chapel shut. The Swiss guards of the Vatican were left standing watch over a process seemingly immune to time itself. Now locked inside are the senior managers of the world's biggest spiritual corporation recruiting their new CEO. His main task, surely reinvigorating a scandal-ridden church battling a secular age. If there's a front runner, it's this man, Angelo Scola, Archbishop of Milan, who seemed to know the oath of secrecy by heart. Behind him, Odilo Scherer from Sao Paulo in Brazil. In a chapel which has been swept for bugging devices and cameras, with telephones forbidden, there will be no phone a friend. But Michelangelo is here, if not God himself. And watching all this pomp and circumstance, a rather more bedraggled crowd in front of St. Peter's, enduring thunder and rain. In the 13th century, one conclave took so long that the leading candidate died before the result. In the 16th century, one pope won by buying the vote. These days, the air of intrigue certainly hasn't disappeared from the Vatican in what is still surely the most extraordinary talent contest on earth. This morning, we found Cardinal Thomas Collins from Toronto, a pope picker heading off to what he called an awesome experience. Do you have a favourite in your mind?
This isn't politics. It really isn't. That is the way that it is spun. You know, they're spinning it, spinmeisters. You know, that whole thing. This is the way it's sort of talked about. It's a sort of a thing. This is the choosing of the Vicar of Christ on earth.
The Canadian clutching his cassock close and keeping his choice for the walls of the Sistine Chapel alone. Do you think it will be a quick conclave, or do you have any feeling about that?
Well, I think in Viterbo in 1200 it was 3 years. So, but that I don't think they had to take the roof off wherever they were, and I hate to do that with the Sistine Chapel. You'd wreck a lot of good art, you know. So, okay, see you guys.
While he had called his own taxi to the Vatican, the Venezuelans and Colombians were flanked by luggage-carrying acolytes with a shared chauffeur. Would you like a Latin American pope, perhaps?
Todo es posible.
Anything is possible, said the cardinal from Caracas, presumably incommunicado, if not hatless, from now on. Later, the cardinals entered the majestic St. Peter's Basilica. The leaders of the Catholic flock seeking divine inspiration before choosing their shepherd-in-chief. Leading the Mass, 85-year-old Cardinal Angelo Sodano, praying for unity and a pontiff who would embrace the mission with a noble heart. And there was applause, if not universal, when Pope Benedict's former right-hand man thanked him for what he called a brilliant papacy. Today's runners and riders ringed the papal paddock in all their finery. Maybe Benedict was watching this glorious spectacle on a sofa at home. After all, he chose 67 of these cardinals, a clear majority, himself. His Secretary of State, Tarcisio Bertone, could be all-important here, perhaps the most powerful man in the Vatican, and said to favour the Brazilian, Odilo Scherer, as Pope. One of the most seasoned Vatican watchers predicts a two-horse race, with the Italian the man to beat.
The duel is between Scherer and Cardinal Scola. But if no one of these two contenders is succeeding, then every surprise is possible, and also some outsiders could come out.
Tonight, the Eternal City really felt that way. A swollen crowd, agog for nothing more than a puff of holy smoke. Jonathan Rugman, Channel 4 News, Rome.